Welcome back. You are still watching Morning Live. While we are so close to the Africa Cup of Nations that will be starting tomorrow, and of course in that one we are certainly looking forward to how South Africa is going to do. They do start their encounter up against Mali. Let's now talk to though what we are expecting in terms of this edition of the Africa Cup of Nations. I am joined in studio by Khanyiso, Tshwaku, and joining us on Zoom we've got Marks Maponyane. Good morning, gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Good morning, compliments.
Good morning, Busiwe, and good morning to the viewers.
All right, Khanyiso, let me start with you perhaps. We look at the group that Bafana is in for this Africa Cup of Nations tournament, and a lot of people saying it's a relatively easy group. What is your take on that, looking at who we'll be going up against?
There's nothing easy about AFCON. There's nothing easy about any continental tournament. I mean, if groups were easy, we would have qualified for the previous edition. But we didn't. I mean, that's what led to the hiring of Hugo Broos. So, look, when you look at how Bafana have played, they've played reasonably well. I mean, when you go back to the Rwanda defeat, I think that was probably the shock that Hugo needed because, I mean, he hadn't lost a game up until then. I'm as Bafana coach. They were ill-prepared. They were ill-prepared, not sure that they're actually in the right mind frame for that game. I think it was one of those shocks into reality that they needed because these are the kind of challenges they're going to encounter at AFCON where sometimes it's not about how you play, it's about how you prepare for the opposition and actually just get the result on the day because I think when you go into tournament football, a lot of people will look at how you want to go about the tournament. I think with the kind of analysis that goes into teams, it's less about now how you actually want to play in a tournament. It's just getting there, preparing for a particular game and getting the result and moving on.
And moving from game to game. Marks, let's bring you into the discussion because we know that the pressure of expectation is such a heavy burden, but there's a lot of opportunity that lies in being underestimated, and perhaps this is what this Bafana side is going into this AFCON tournament with, just not a lot of people expecting very much. Does that almost lessen the pressure on Hugo Broos as well as his troops?
Yeah, that definitely lessens the pressure because they don't go there as favorites and go there and win, don't disappoint the nation. We know you can do it kind of a thing. So they go there and do their best. And one thing that they can do is just shock everybody. And I'm sure you will realize that whenever you go to any tournament and you say you're South Africa, they almost remember who you are. So they should just take advantage of that. I mean, one has been to all these tournaments, especially the AFCON, and that when you get there, they just take you as favorites. And that should inspire the players. It's not like relatively unknown, but a lot is expected of them. They still say Benny McCarthy fish, and they are not there, but they have those memories lingering with the continental members.
That is absolutely true, because I know when I was in Kenya in December, I said I'm from South Africa, and they said, Bafana. And that's what a lot of people remember. But let's talk to now, Khanyiso, looking at the hosts of this tournament in Cote d'Ivoire. What do you fancy their chances to be?
Look, Cote d'Ivoire have generally been a very strong side. I don't think that they are the Cote d'Ivoire of years past that had your Didier Drogba as a team that would actually keep a lot of opposition awake at night, but they still remain a very strong side. I mean, all those West African teams, whether it's Nigeria, whether it's Senegal, whether it's Ghana, they'll always put together a strong enough team that will make other teams worry. They host, and I think the tournament in the past has generally been a bit more kinder to host teams. I remember that Cameroon did very well with the last time they hosted it. So there will be a lot of expectation on them as hosts, as a qualified football nation, to do well. But I think at the end of the day, you can never discount like North Africa. I mean, Egypt will forever remain a force. Algeria will always remain a force. I mean, so there'll always be, though Morocco, for example, will also be a difficulty. I mean, they probably have the biggest standard to live up to, if I remember correctly. They lost one, the AFCON in 1976, but they've always been rated as one of the giants of African football, despite their lone success on the continent. But you can't dispel the fact that they were clearly the best team, the best African team at the World Cup. I mean, finishing third, that means that they're effectively the designated champions. However, though, they need to go out there and actually win the tournament proper. And winning AFCON with the challenges that come with playing on the continent, you'd find that a country like Ivory Coast isn't a country that plays a lot of continental football. Yes, ASEC Mimosas do play CAF Champions League, but it's not a country that a lot of Moroccan teams will go to, not even South African teams, for example. If you find when you look at the CAF Champions League, it's probably now become a shootout of a bit of East Africa, North Africa, and SADC in particular. Well, those are the countries where you look closely. Those are the countries that have taken CAF continental football seriously. So, I mean, Morocco do have a very serious challenge. But again, the AFCON in the past and in the present has tended to throw up very different results.
Mark, he touches on West African nations. Let's talk quickly. I've got about 40 seconds left. Just your thoughts on Senegal being the defending champions. A lot will say that they are big stars, have almost somewhat lost their shine. What do you make of their chances in being able to successfully defend the title?
Yes, Senegal will be buoyed by the fact that they are champions and they still have the stars that made the difference last time. Your Manes and your, Abubakar, Koulibaly and all those guys. So you almost think that they are the ones that should go out there and say, we are going out here to defend. And they can, because I watched the Under-17s World Cup and I thought, wow, Senegal still has the future. So they have the youngsters that can always be promoted to that level. But the senior team that's there, they are not the history. They just are recent champions and they are current champions, as you know. But they are recent as in they are even playing at a higher level. So Senegal, for me, you don't write them off because they're just not going to let it go like that. Anyone who wants to be a champion of Africa this time, they will make sure that he fights for it.
Oh, they're going to have to fight indeed. Marks, thank you so much for your time this morning. We look forward to catching up with you throughout the tournament, as well as to you, Khanyiso, Tshwaku, talking all things about the Africa Cup of Nations. And obviously, for the next 2 years, whoever is victorious here will be right at the helm of continental football.